in the CA Inter syllabus for both corporate law and other laws. Before going to the amendment session, I just wanted to give a few minutes of motivation, and let us start the session, because I can easily complete the session within few minutes. So the session, yes, obviously we will cover amendments in a better way. But before that, I wanted to tell you something, because no, for last 6 months we are having heavy stress, and I can understand students. The students' stress level is much more than the parents' stress level, because as I can see, if the exam happened, if the exam would have happened in the month of May itself, so many of the students would have cleared that time itself. Now, after this situation, it is very difficult for you to again catch the books, and some people are even worried about the current situation, whether the exam will happen or not, etc. etc. Now, forget all those things. Fix your mind that exam is going to happen and move forward, and you have to study. Now, my basic advice is three things: confidence, consistency, and determination. First of all, you should have confidence on yourself that you will pass this examination. Sure shot you will pass this examination. And consistency, daily you have to study. Daily, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, whatever it is, daily you have to study. Studying one day, 9 hours is not enough. Okay, instead you can study 5 hours a day, and continuously you can study for a month together. So consistency is more important. Third is determination. You should not leave this course. You should study and you should excel. You should pass with the flying colors. You have to have that determination. You should have the determination that I will pass inter, I will pass final. See, maybe 1 or 2 attempts it may take for few people, especially for direct entry. I can see many direct entry students are suffering. Okay, that they cannot able to clear the examination in one go. For others also it is difficult, but for direct entry it is much difficult. So I can help whatever possible way. Whatever doubts you have, you can message me. I can give my phone number, but those things are there. See, faculties are ready to help you, but that inside courage you only should develop. But you can assure one thing, I can assure you one thing, that I am there, that you can feel. Krishnan sir is there. He will help me in these subjects, law or auditing, whatever it is. Like, you need that, the guide who can take care of me. Like small age, what do you do? My parent is there. Okay, they will catch hold of me. You will jump into the ocean. For example, in beach and all, we will do some risk also, because we know definitely that person will come and hold our hand. Even in case we leave our hand, they will come and hold. So that level of confidence you should have some from faculty. That is one thing. Second, you make yourself more responsible towards your parents. See, every parent today, they have at least 1 or 2 kids only, not more than that. So you and your brother or sister is the life for the parent. So they have invested lot of time, energy, and money on you. You have to give something in return. They are not asking you money. They are asking, your happiness is their happiness. At least for their sake, you have to study. Okay, so you have some problems, etc. But why we are living here? We have to make them happy. That is the main purpose of our life. At least not for us, for them we have to study. Okay, you have to keep your mind open. You have to keep your mind open. Please don't make your mind filled with negativity. Okay, all these things you have to eradicate. You should keep on thinking positive. I can. Kind of keep on thinking positive, and it will happen a day. And the day is going to come very soon. I hope you all will understand this and start studying. Okay, better later than never. So at least, sir, I postponed my studies, sir, almost 3-4 months. I didn't even touch my book. At least touch it now. Okay. See, I will tell you, For inter level, the amendments is not that great importance, but yes, obviously since this is there in RTP, we have to study that. That is secondary. But amendments is not that great important in mark wise in inter level. But we have to study that also. We should keep in mind. I will tell you, this inter level amendments is very, very easy this time. Very easy this time. So we can now start the class with blessings of Almighty. You all will pass in this examination. Don't worry about it. This paper will be easy paper. Don't even worry about it. November 20, if the exam happens, it's going to be easy paper, because everyone know the situation is worst, and everyone know it is very difficult for the students even to come and write the examination. So don't worry, this exam will be easy, and just go and write the exam, you will pass. Don't worry about it. Have the confidence. First have the confidence. You have studied it. You have studied, just you have to revise. Keep on revising, keep on revising. See, don't get confused with the telegrams and WhatsApp groups, messages, etc. Don't even worry about anything. Okay, if one faculty will send you free PDF, no, you will start studying about that. Please understand, institute material is the only material which you have to study. Otherwise, if you went to some classes where they have given some notes, you study that enough. Don't download all this free PDF, because every faculty is sending free PDF, free PDF. How many things you can study? It's not that easy. So PDFs and things. Stick on to ICA material or one faculty material. That's enough. Notes. That's enough. See, even that faculty cannot write on its own. Even in fact, they are going to take from ICA material. They are going to short the things and their view. So please understand, you have to be worry free to write the exam. Don't have worries. Please be worry free and write the exam. You will pass. Don't worry. Okay. Now we'll start the class. Aishwarya, if you can share the screen, it will be good. No? Enable to? Yeah. Thank you so much, Aishwarya. Yeah. So, friends, the first amendment, if you see in RTP says the first amendment is page number 2.19 of your institute material. I am just going by institute material, and I am going to explain you exactly what ICI use the wordings in their material. See, I hope everyone can able to see this page number 2.19. Page number 2.19. In this, you can see this undesirable names. Undesirable names. Can you able to see undesirable names? This one, yeah. Here, there is a rule named here called rule number 8. Rule number 8. Can you able to see? This is called rule number 8. Now, what it says, some names which you should not use without the approval of the central government. For example, the names used here say board, commission, authority, undertaking, national, union, central, federal, republic, president. These words and all, you cannot use in your name of your company. You cannot use in the name of the company unless previous permission has been obtained by government. Okay, even unless otherwise you are going to get registered under that act. For example, Insurance Act, Banking Act. Okay, you can, in fact, Nidhi means section 406 of the Companies Act. You cannot use those company this in name also. For example, you cannot short ABC Insurance Limited unless otherwise you get the permission from IRDA, license from IRDA. Now, these rules are mentioned in rule number 8 of the Companies Incorporation Rule. Now, the amendment is very, very small. There is nothing big in this amendment. The amendment is very, very small. What does the amendment says? The rule has been changed. The number of the rule has been changed. What is the new rule number? The new rule number is 8B. B for ball. That's all. Nothing new. There is no change of any wording. As per rule number 8, instead of that, you have to put what? Rule number 8B. See, sir, we are not remembering the section itself. We are not remembering the rule numbers. I'm telling you, no problem. No problem. The content, if you know enough, this is fine. So, this amendment is not that great amendment to be remembered so perfectly. You know the content, that central government approval is required for using some names. Yes, that's all enough. So the rule number and all, if the number change and all, don't worry about it. Just leave it. This is my first one. Second, the second amendment is in chapter number 3, page number 3.7. So this is chapter number 3. I am going to take 3.7. You also take in your book ICA material. If you have, you can take in your book. Or anyway, this video will be uploaded in the YouTube. Anytime you can come and back and see this amendments. Okay. So this is page number 3.7. Okay. In page number 3.7, what is the amendment? 3.7. Okay. Now, you all know prospectus, if it is issued for public issue of prospectus. Before issuing the prospectus, SEBI is governing the things. Okay, you all know, right? SEBI, I will show here. There are two acts, Securities and Exchange Board of India Act 1992. This is one act. Another act is Securities Contract Regulation Act 1956. These two acts are governing the public issue, correct, and public issue of prospectus. Now, you have to register your prospectus with SEBI and you have to file it with ROC before issue to the public. Register with SEBI and file it with ROC. Now, the wording is used in the Companies Act. If you see in this para, okay, in this para, if you see, prospectus is to be issued after registration and compliance with other formalities. Now, the thing is, now see here, no prospectus shall be issued on behalf of the company unless on or before the publication it has been delivered to ROC for registration. A copy thereof. Can you understand? Now, registration to be done by SEBI. ROC, you have to only file it. So instead of the word registration here, you have to write the word filing. That's all. So filing. That's all. So this is not that great thing. This it's everyone knows. So section 26 if you read subsection 4 and all, okay, you can know wherever this registration word, either it may be subsection 4 or subsection 5, wherever it is, instead of registration, we should make it filing. Even see here, expert has to give consent in the prospectus, right? That expert consent, okay, you have to, if the expert want to withdraw the consent, okay, they have to withdraw before the registration, the prospectus. That's what mentioned here. Now, instead of registration, it has to be filed. ROC. So, registrar, okay, registrar means ROC. For registration, the mention no. Instead of registration, it should be filing. That's all. Enough. So, what is the thing? The prospectus issued shall not include a statement purporting to, or expert has to make, unless the expert is a person who is or not has engaged or interested in the formation of the company. That means what? The expert should be an independent person. You should not be a person who involved actively in formation of the company. So, if that person gave his consent, okay, to the issue of and does not withdraw his consent, so prospectus can be issued only after the expert consent. That expert has to give consent and he should not have withdrawn the consent. That is what the word mentioned it. Okay, now, okay, before what, he should not have withdrawn the consent before delivering the copy of the prospectus to the registrar for registration. Is there no, instead of registration you have to make filing. That's a one small word, filing. This word has to be changed. This is what the next amendment. This is 3.7. Now we go to 3.8. The next page, very next page. In the page they have mentioned, see, I will just show you, this is 3.8. Okay, come down. Okay, this is 3.8. Because this is 3.7, the next page is 3.8. In 3.8, the word is the subsection 7, that is 26 subsection 7. Compliance of requirements of this section before registration. Registrar shall not register a prospectus. See, registrar itself is not necessary. Now, SEBI only registering the prospectus. Now, this section, this point itself is now removed, omitted. This point is now omitted. This point is now omitted. This section, the entire subsection, this paragraph itself is now omitted. You need not read this paragraph. Can you able to understand? This is the next amendment in page number 3.8. We will go to the next amendment in page number 3.9. See, public offer of securities in demat form. See, two companies can give public offer. One is public listed companies, unlisted public companies, okay, other companies. Please understand. Now, section 29, section 1. Section 29, subsection 1. Public offer of securities in dematerialized form. Now, here you can see this states every company making public offer and every such class and class of public companies. Now, the word public has been removed from this. Every such other class of companies. So, classes or classes of companies. Here restrict that only public companies can issue. Now, this has been removed now. This has been now just made companies. So, if they issue securities to public, see, it is not necessary only public companies can issue securities to public. For example, debentures even private companies can raise. If at all they raise, they should be in dematerialized form. That's all. If at all they raise, they should be in what? Dematerialized form. And there is a new rule. Rule 9A has been added to this. Rule 9A has been added to this. So in Companies Prospectus and Amendment Rules 2014, there is a new rule has been added. Okay, what is the new rule says? Issue of securities in dematerialized form. Issue of securities in what? Dematerialized form by unlisted public companies. So that rule has been added here. And it is not only unlisted public company, any company if they want to issue, okay, any company if they want to issue, they have to make what? They have to make dematerialized forms only. That's what. So demat form. See the two things. One is the word public has to be removed, and there is a rule called 9A where they mentioned it should be in dematerialized form. That's all. See, listed securities, listed company, we all know it is in dematerialized form. Okay, unlisted company also, if they want to issue securities to public, it should be in dematerialized form. That is the amendment. This is section 29. Now page number 3.9 is over. Then 3.23. 3.23. Now I'll come down. 3.21, 3.22, 3.23. Yeah, this is the 3.23. Now, this is not big amendment. Same like previously what we studied, that registration, filing with ROC, those things. Here, there will be one word used called delivery. Delivery, a word they would have used. Now, instead of delivery, we have to write filing. Okay, now we will read this. Making competent side person give consent required to the section of prospectus are not withdrawn the consent before delivery. This word, see, we already know expert, etc., expert, directors, and all, they should not have withdrawn the consent. Okay, if they have not withdrawn the consent and there's a misstatement, these people having penalty. This clause is what? Penalty clause. This clause contravention clause. See, if you have withdrawn your consent in the prospectus before issue of the prospectus, then you will not be liable. If the expert or other person, okay, if they have not withdrawn the consent before delivering or filing the prospectus with ROC, then they will be liable. Now the word delivery has been changed from delivery to filing, and the word registration has been changed from just filing. That's all. So before filing of a copy of prospectus to the defendant's knowledge. That's all. That is experts, etc. So in the word now it is necessary for using this word of registration itself. That is the next amendment. It is also very, very small amendment. It's not a big amendment. Then let us move to the next chapter, chapter number 4. What is the amendment in chapter 4? Share capital and debentures. 4.5. That is the page number where they have amended it. 4.5. So this is the page where they have amended the things. Okay, page number 4.5. Page number 4.5. This is a very important amendment. Institute may test this amendment. This amendment is respect to differential voting rights shares. Differential voting rights shares. See, if a company issuing equity shares, they have two options: equity shares with full dividend and voting rights with differential rights. This is two types. If they are issuing differential rights shares as per section 48, previously they are mentioned not exceeding 26% of the total paid up value of equity shares with differential. That means maximum equity shares of a company is 26% can have only differential voting rights. That means what? If you want to take more dividend, okay, instead of voting, it is possible. That means small shareholders who wants only dividend, who don't want voting, the company can issue that kind of shares to these people. DVR shares, differential voting right shares. That means they can participate only in dividends and they will not participate in voting. This is what the differential voting rights means. Previously, they can get only how much? 26% differential voting right shares can be issued. See, I will tell you an example. If Reliance company want to hold Reliance Jio Telecom, you all know, right? But at the same time, they want money. I want power, but I want to liquidate this company to get some money. So this company, Jio, can either issue a differential voting right shares whereby the ultimate control of voting power will be with the Ambani family through Reliance, and the new shareholders will get a differential voting rights. That means they will get dividend rights, but they will not get voting rights. Now, in case if this section has been operated properly by them, 74% instead of 26%, see here, 26% only previously can be allowed. Now what it says, 74% of the equity shares with different voting rights can be issued. Okay, so it will not allow the new shareholders, or it will not allow the DVR holders to exercise voting. Can you able to understand? They will be equity shareholders. They are not preferred shareholders, but they will be equity shareholders without voting rights with dividend rights. Can you able to understand? So how much percentage the companies can issue now? Previously it is 26%. Now it is 74%. It is a very beautiful amendment. This helps many companies to raise funds. Okay, without the existing promoters from losing their voting. They will have the control through voting, and the new shareholders who puts the money, they will get more dividend. That is what it is. Understood? And this point, the company having consistent track record of profits last 3 years, this has been removed. Okay, even without past 3 years consistent track record of profits, companies can issue DVR shares. Can you able to understand? This is the new thing. So this is page number 4.5. Now I will go to page number 4.44. Page number 4.44. Page number 4.44. Very important amendment. Very important. A very drastic change. See, we all know that debenture redemption reserve has to be created by certain companies which issue debentures to people. Now, there are various companies which may issue debentures. You can please take a pen and paper and you can make note of it, because it is a very important amendment. And this tabular column, we cannot just like that change it. We have to even write a new tabular column here. So you know this tabular column. Page number, what is the page number? 4. Please see, 4.44. This tabular column has to go for an entire change. Now, if a company issues debentures, they have to create debenture redemption reserve. How much percentage they have to create? They have to keep 25% of the total outstanding debentures in the debenture redemption reserve. This is what the old rule. What is the old rule? The debenture redemption reserve shall be created out of profits, okay, for which is available for payment of dividend. That means whatever the profits is there in the company, from that they have to create a reserve, which is called debenture redemption reserve. It's like a statutory reserve which can be used only for the purpose of redeeming the debentures. But they have given some exemption for all India finance institution. If they made a public or private placement of debentures, they need not create debentures. So debenture redemption reserve need not be created for whom? All India financial institution. Okay. So what are the all India financial institution? There are so many. IFCI. Okay, like that there are NABARD, SIDBI, HUDCO. There are many all India financial institutions. For them and all, this redemption reserve has been exempted. Then there is another company is called NBFC, including financial institutions, banks, financial institutions, then housing finance. Okay, whether it is listed or not, etc. Previously, 25% of the debenture. Okay, you have to create DRR if it is public issue. But if it is a private placement, you need not create. You need not create. Previously, it was exempted for them. Then for companies, it may be listed companies or unlisted companies. Every person they have to create 25% of the DRR. Okay. Now the new rule says we have to split like this. Okay, the new rule we have to split like this. All India financial institutions and banks. All India financial institutions and banks. Then for public issue, no need. For private issue, no need. No DRR to be created. Second line you have to add here. Second line you have to add here, where you have to say for public financial institution and NBFC. You have to write what? Public financial institution and NBFC. In that, you have to write listed, unlisted, listed, unlisted. In both listed and unlisted, please understand listed and listed is two different things. If it is a listed NBFC, they need not create. If it is a listed NBFC, they need not create. If it's a listed NBFC, they need not create debenture redemption reserve both for public as well as private. But if it is an unlisted NBFC, if it is an unlisted NBFC for public issue, they have to create 10% of debentures as DRR. Very, very important. What is the amendment here? 10%. This you have to change to 10%. Then for companies, if it is a listed company, this is exempted. Both public issue as well as private issue is exempted. For unlisted companies, if they have issued debentures, then public issue and private issue, they have to create 10%. Please understand, public issue and private issue, they have to create 10%. For unlisted companies, for both public issue and private issue, they have to create 10%. NBFC, if it is unlisted, for public issue, they have to create 10%. For private issue, it is exempted. For private issue, it is exempted. Can you able to understand? Yeah. Sir, the next line, there is no change. You have to create 15%. You have to create or deposit 15% of the debentures maturing in the next following year by 31st March. Whatever the 15% of the debentures which is going to get matured by 31st March, in this year by April, you have to deposit in the scheduled bank. That and all, there is no change. Debenture redemption reserve creation only there is a change. This is the important change. This is the only big change for the IPC syllabus. Understood? So this is page number 4.44. Okay. Now, the next amendment is page number 7.13. See, if you are commenting, I will come to your comment and see and discuss all those things once we completed the first session. That means the basic session. So I will go to the seventh chapter. 7.13 and 14. There is an amendment. 7.13 and 14. 1.13. This is a very, very important session and amendment. 7.13 and 14, very, very important section and amendment. One second, there is a small disturbance. One second. So, page number 7.13. See, actually, there is one more amendment in page number 7.12, but it is not mentioned in the institute RPP. Page number 7.12 itself, section 90, register of significant beneficial owner is instead of register of significant beneficial owner, we can have to change this. It has to be changed. Investigation of significant beneficial owner. Investigation. Please understand, this register word has to be changed because the section itself, the name itself got changed. Now, please understand. If I am the legal owner of the share, but I hold the share for some other person. I am actually like a binami. I am holding the share for some other person. That person is called beneficial owner and I am the legal owner. Please understand. That person is called beneficial owner and I am the legal owner. Now, in case if the company comes to know that this person is the legal owner, but that person is the beneficial owner, then company has to take steps to insist that person, the beneficial owner, to sign certain forms and other things and file with ROC. Previously, it is the headache of the beneficial person to come and tell the company. But that person and all is not knowing the Companies Act, they are not coming forward and telling the company. Now the amendment says it is the company's duty, if they come to know that there is a beneficial and dealing interest different, so you have to identify those individuals who are beneficial owner of the shares, ask them to file the bin form with ROC. This is the amendment. Can you understand now? Section page number 7.13. After this paragraph number 4, there should be one more paragraph here to be inserted. The section, okay, 90 subsection 4a. There's a 90 subsection 4a to be inserted where it says company shall identify the beneficial owner. Okay, that means the person who is holding the shares beneficially, but he is not the legal owner. Some other person is the legal owner. They have to identify and they should insist them to file the bin form. This is the new point added here. Then there is one more point to be added here. The next page, page number 7.14. After there is a point called 9th point. After this, the next subsection. After that, there should be one more subsection to be added here. 9a. See, if that individual who is having a beneficial interest, if they fail to file bin form, they will be fined. That is different issue. If the company, if they come to know that there is a beneficial owner, legal owner, two different persons, if you, the company, have not insisted that person to file the bin form, company will be facing the penalty. That is what this amendment says. So, sir, I will tell you what is the full idea behind this amendment. There are many companies where if you strip, okay, for example, A Limited is the company. If you see who are the shareholder, B Limited and C Limited are the shareholder. If you see who is the shareholder of B Limited, X Limited and Y Limited will be the shareholder. If you see who is the shareholder of X Limited, there will be a natural person called Mr. A. There will be a natural person called Mr. B. So, a person who is holding significant interest in the A Limited, A Limited is the main company. A Limited, there is two shareholders, B Limited, C Limited. B Limited, there will be another shareholder. That is the company. So, ultimately, if all this company closes, the ultimate money will go to two natural persons who is having a significant influence on all these companies. They are called the beneficial. Significant beneficial owners are those natural persons who can have or exercise significant influence by 25% in this company. So this is actually very draconian point. See, this government want to identify all those binamis, okay? Because so many people, for example, there is one politician, okay? She may be in jail today. She may be released in the month of, or he or she may be released in the month of January of 2021. What they will do? They will float a company in Velachery. This Velachery company will be the shareholder in Andhra company. This Andhra company will buy some properties in Poyas Garden or nearby area or Gopalapuram. Now, this company will be constructing a very beautiful house for one politician who may after release can come and stay in this area. Now, this politician, maybe he or she, they are the shareholders of a company which is like XYZ company, which is having just 1 lakh rupees paid up capital. They may be the shareholders of this company. But this company is a shareholder of a very big company, and that very big company is having a very big property. So ultimately, if everything gets closed, this money will come to this shareholder who just by paying 1 lakh has a property of crores and crores of property. Now, this person is called beneficial owner. Can you able to understand? So this has a Binami Property Act. So we will be doing a Binami property and all. So that and all, it's a CA final portion, CA final economic law portion. But see, this is a very small amendment as you concern very on the face, but this has a very big impact actually. So this is page number 7.14 amendment. So company should take steps in finding who is the beneficial owner. This is the amendment. 9.38. 9.38. Page number 9.38. There is an amendment there. 9. Page chapter number 9. 9.38. Okay, 9.38. This is the page. Now, this page talks about section 135 corporate social responsibilities. Corporate social responsibilities. We all know a company which is having 2 crore rupees, 5 crore rupees net profit. Okay, and if they have 3 things: 1,000 crores turnover, or 500 crores net worth, or 5 crores net profit. Those companies have to contribute 2% of the average net profit of the last 3 years to CSR. What is CSR? Corporate social responsibility. Now, previously, this section, point number 8 says contribution to Prime Minister National Relief Fund. Now, during COVID, you all remember, okay, PM has created PM Care Fund, correct? PM Care Fund. So, Prime Minister National Relief Fund is one fund. Now, you have to put here, comma or slash, okay, you have to add PM Cares also. Can you able to understand? PM Care Fund, you have to add it here. So, this is one good amendment. In page number 9. What is the page number? 9.38. So what is amendment? You have to add PM Care Fund. So it may be asked in MCQ. Companies have contributed to PM Care Fund. Whether it is allowed as per CSR. What is the answer? Yes, it is allowed. Then another thing, this contribution to technology, all those things are there. No. See here, contribution to technology incubators and academic institution. Here they have added n number of academic institutions like IIT, Indian Institute of Technology, then national institutes, then which is owned. Previously, it is approved by only central government. Please understand, here it is only central government. Now, central government or state government are owned by public sector, okay, which is involved in scientific research. It can be including that medicine, all those things, R&D, all those things you can give. So this point, you can read the RTP for exact wordings. I'm just saying what is the concept of amendment. Idea of the amendment is include more academic institution, and also it can be even approved by state government or PSU, they can own that. Okay, and IIT, NIT and all in added. So, and even if the contribution is being made for disaster management, for example, flood, if and all, if it comes, various areas we can able to see floods. In Tamil Nadu has been affected by various floods in few years back, etc. Apo, there will be disaster relief fund, Kerala floods, very frequent. So for that and all, there will be disaster relief fund, rehabilitation funds. If the companies are providing those contribution to those funds, that is also covered under CSR. This is what mentioned in 9.38. Then 9.16, 16, 17, etc. All those areas, small amendment has been included. I will tell you. See 9.16. Page number 9. Now here, hurry up. So this is the recent thing. I just downloaded this book. Actually, here, because there are various editions of the book, no? So there's a small confusion. Okay. Yeah. Constitutions of NFRA. See, you all know, right? Recently, Deloitte, EY, okay, some big fours they got fined, okay, like 15 lakh rupees fine, etc. by NFRA for this ILFS case, because there is some negligence in their audit. So NFRA is the authority which is going to protect the public from negligence by the company as well as by the auditors. This NFRA, previously there is only one division, only one main NFRA will be in Delhi. Today, after this subsection 1, there will be another subsection called 1A. Before this 2, there will be one thing called 1A. That subsection, they are saying that we will be creating various benches. That means NFRA will be having their branches across India. Various benches will be created. That is the first amendment. Then the next page, if you see, after subsection 3, before subsection 4, there will be one more amendment here. After this 3, and before this 4, there will be one more paragraph added here, 3A, which says this divisions will be headed by chairman and other members. Please understand. Main NFRA will be in Delhi, and other NFRA will be in various division benches will be there, and it will be headed by chairman and other members. This is what the next amendment. This is 9.16 and 17. Then 1819. 9.18. 9.18. Yeah, here. If the professional, that is auditors, okay, professionals misconduct, they may impose penalty. This is all, there is no change. But here there is a change. Debarring a charter accountant, okay, debarring a member, charter accountant, or the firm of charter accountants from engaging himself or itself. Himself means sole proprietor, itself means firm. From practice as a member of ICI. Now, here they have added debarring a member of a firm from conducting, you have to add the word here, from conducting internal audit, statutory audit, or any valuation assignment. From conducting internal audit, statutory audit, or any valuation assignment. This has been added here. That means NFRA can debar charter accountants from doing internal audit, statutory audit, and other valuation assignments. Able to understand? This is the next amendment. Then, here, the next paragraph, next page, if you see, this NFRA is going to apply their thing and all for insurance companies, banking companies, etc. Now, this banking company means what? There is no explanation. So, you have to write an explanation. This banking company means a banking company which is defined as per the Banking Acquisition and Transfer. Okay, that takeover, Acquisition and Takeover Act is 1970. So, Banking Acquisition and Takeover Act 1970. Then as per SBI Subsidiaries Act, whatever it says. So the definition, what is banking company? The definition has been added. That is not a big thing for you to remember. So then there is one page number 9.26. There is one amendment. Page number 9.26. Yeah, 9.26. See, according to Rule 8 of the company's account rule, there is sub-rule 5. Rule 8 is Rule 5. Adula, clause after this A, B, C, subrule 5, okay, sorry, subrule in the subrule 3, subrule 3, after subrule 3. There is one more point to be added called 3A. After this point, there will be one more point. Before this 4, there will be one point to be added called 3A. You have to write there, independent director, okay, independent director should have passed the proficiency test. Independent director, see, in the director's report, you have to write various things. You have to write financial summary. This is director's report actually. Financial summary highlights, change in nature of business, okay, details of director scheme manager persons. Then how you are going to evaluate the directors, how you are going to evaluate the directors, how you are going to evaluate their integrity, how you are going to evaluate their experience. All those things you have to evaluate. And you should also write, see, there is a new test, there is a new examination which is getting conducted by Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Okay, there is one institute called Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs. They are conducting an exam called Proficiency Test Examination for Independent Directors. Proficiency Test Exam for the Independent Director. See, if you want to become Independent Director, you should be empaneled in a data bank under section 150. Okay, so leave all those sections. You should be empaneled. That means your name should be there in the data bank. For that, you should write one examination called Independent Director Proficiency Test. So, this director responsibility, director report should also mention that my independent directors have qualified that test. That's all. Nothing more than that. So, these are the amendments in the corporate law. Now, other law, you have to, other law, there is an amendment. Contract Act, General Costs Act. Contract Act, General Costs Act. Previously, these are not applicable to Jammu Kashmir. Now, after 31st October 2019, after 31st October 2019, there is something called Jammu Kashmir Reorganization Act 2019. Article 370 from the Constitution has been removed. So, Jammu Kashmir Reorganization Act has been introduced. As per the Jammu Kashmir Reorganization Act, this Contract Act and General Costs Act and all is applicable to all of India, including Jammu Kashmir. This is what the amendment. Okay, so this is the amendment in the other laws. So I have covered all the amendments mentioned in May 20 RTP as well as November 20 RTP. So you do not break your head saying, sir, okay, you covered this May 20 RTP, you covered. What is about November 20? You don't worry. I have covered both May 20 as well as November 20. Now let me read the comments. The comments is not a very great doubt and all. Just good evening, etc. Only they made comments. Okay, I hope you all understood this session and etc. Now I will stop the screen share. Let me also give some exam tips for you. Now, how to write a paper, law paper. In case if it is a case study based question, first I will tell you how to write the case study based question. Now, the case study you have two types, MCQ based case studies and description based case studies. 30 marks is MCQ based, 70 marks is description based. Now, high weightage, almost 60 marks weightage is given to the Companies Act. And don't expect a straight question, okay? They may give, for example, void transfer, forged transfer, from the transfer, etc. They may give a straight question. But there are various areas, for example, ultra wires, constructive notice, separate legal entity, then meetings. In those areas, like administration chapter, the last meetings and administration section, till section 122. From those chapter and all, they may give a case study based question. They may even ask you to calculate quorum, etc. In those questions, what you should write? Provision, analysis, conclusion. Provision, analysis, conclusion. So there are various case laws. If you remember, you write the case laws. There are various sections. If you remember the section number, you can write the section number. Otherwise, please don't write the section number. If you know exactly the section number, you write. Otherwise, don't write. They won't reduce any mark for non-quoting section number or case laws. They won't, examiner won't reduce any marks for IPCC for non-quoting case laws or section numbers. Just the content is most important. Even if you don't pause, if it is not possible for you to reproduce the exact content, Similar to that you can write, but the meaning should not get changed. This you can write in the provision. This question, okay, is asked from this. Write at least a few lines about the provision. Then in analysis, in the given case, okay, what happened? A gist of the case. In the given case, this is what happened. Applying the provision mentioned above, your comments you should write. Then conclusion you should write. So if you write this, one page will be filled. Can you able to understand? One full rule page will be filled. Please make sure each ruled page, okay, one page is for only one question. In fact, one sub question if it's there, that means you have to stop. You, even in fact, only half page is completed, another half page is there. Don't write in that page. Please turn the page. Please understand. Please turn the page. If, for example, sir, there is question number 1 has 3 parts, A, B, and C. I know A, I know B. C, I don't know. I left one page and went to the next question 2. Then on full page you left blank. If you are going to come again and going to fill it, then okay. If not, you have to strike that page. If, for example, you don't know that question itself, you don't have time to come and write back, now you strike that page itself. Okay, and put PTO, please turn over, in fact. And last few pages, if you are not going to write, strike all those pages. If it's unleft, if the in the booklet, if it is unleft. Okay, and make sure every question you are putting the question number and the sub portion number in the left hand side margin you should write, as well as the top. So top also you write, left hand side margin also you write, and make sure you are drawing a line also if you are completing the answers. Please write at least the first few pages very neat and legibly. You take time also, impress the examiner, because he is also a human being. If you are writing in Greek and Latin, because you are English only, but for him it may seem like a Greek and Latin, it is very difficult for them to correct. Now ICAI says it's only digital board. That means they are going to scan your paper and put in PDF, which may some people may find difficult in reading. So please write legibly, neatly. See, it is not necessary that you should write as if it's a handwriting competition, but at least so people should read. No, whatever you are writing, they should read and correct your paper. Since it is theory, there is high chance of getting marks when your handwriting is good. I am not saying you are going to lose marks if your handwriting is bad. I am saying if your handwriting is good, you will get more marks. Instead of putting 4 marks, you may put 4.5 marks if your handwriting is very good, and content also is very good. Okay. See, MCQ separately, don't break your head. If you are understanding the concept, they will give it in MCQ. MCQ, I will tell you, it is a good as well as bad. It will take some time. Reading MCQ and reading the options will take some time. So you have to be very sharp on MCQ things. So I am AKS Krishnan. You can just Google my name, what I am doing, etc. You can just Google AKS Krishnan. You can know about me. I don't want to use this platform to make myself familiar to everyone. Okay, so I hope this session you all enjoyed. You got some knowledge, and thank you so much for your patience listening. Okay, now over to you, Aishwarya, Sikasa team.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for the wonderful session by giving an overview on amendments applicable for our exams and also approach for writing our exams. Thank you for spending your time out of your busy schedules. Thank you, sir. I thank every student who participated in this session. This video is available in our channel after the stream ends, and you can watch the same at any time. Kindly share it with your friends and subscribe to the channel to get notified about the upcoming revision sessions. Once again, I thank our faculties, AKS Krishnan sir. Thank you, sir, and thank you all.